If you're doing a simple repeating pattern, your chart doesn't have to be that big, because since the pattern just repeats itself, you don't need to chart out the whole thing. You could just do a section and go off of that as you're crocheting. But let's say you want to do something that has a lot of detail. You want the picture to take up the entire bag, and so the chart has to be really big in order to chart out the entire thing. If you're going to be doing that, you need to keep in mind that this program actually can't really deal with really big files. It can't deal with really big charts. So let's say that you were doing a really big pattern like that, and then you saved it, and then you closed out, and you opened it later either to look at it or to continue working on it. Unfortunately, what's going to happen is the program is going to close, and it's not going to open again. It's not going to let you re-access that pattern, because it can't. It's just not capable of opening such big files. So what you should do is you should work on one section of the project at a time, and then you should save each individual section as, like, let's say you cut the pattern up into fourths, and you could save one part of the section as maybe the bottom left hand corner, and then the next one you could save it under the name top left hand corner. And then, you know, once you're done, you could line them all up with each other, and then you could save that in a different format that I'm going to show you later, and then you could access that. But if you want to be able to edit it, you need to save it in individual sections. Maybe you're creating your pattern, and as you create your pattern, you realize, oh, I really like this shape right here. That's what I want my entire pattern to be made out of. But you don't want to have to manually go through and redo every stitch. What you could also do is you could just come over here and you could copy this by selecting it and clicking copy, and then you could click paste, and then you could click paste again, and then you could remember, I forgot right now to switch it to the move tool. Remember to switch it to the move tool, and then you could drag it over, and then you could line the stitches up on top of each other. Something that's helpful in making sure that you have it perfectly lined up is by zooming in all the way, by coming down to this little tab right here and pulling all the way to the right. Now you can see that they're not perfectly lined up on top of each other. So you just keep adjusting. If your mouse is kind of sensitive, what you could do is you could get it like almost there, and then you could switch to using your keyboard, and you could use the arrow keys on your keyboard, and it moves it just a little bit at a time. Right now, there's something that's happening that you can't really tell when the background color is this color, but if you were to switch it to back to white, if you were to switch the background stitches back to white, you would notice that right here where these stitches overlap, the stitches will be darker because there are two right on top of each other. So let me go ahead and change that, and I'll show you what I mean. Let me first change these colors just so that you'll be able to see it. So I'm going to change white to pink, and then I'm going to change blue to white. Now when this goes through, you'll see that these stitches along here are darker. It's really easy to fix this. You have to use your keyboard for this one. So you want to click the control button with one finger, then using your mouse with keeping your finger on the control button, start clicking on these stitches, and the stitches will stay selected. And once you have selected them all, with another finger, still holding on to the control button with one finger, with the other finger, click the X key. And when you do that, they'll be eliminated, and then it looks back to normal. It looks smooth, like it's one single chart. A really helpful tool when creating patterns is this mirroring tool up here. It's this little triangle with an arrow on top. When you click on it, you're given multiple options. The mirroring tools are cool because it allows you to create the same shape but just flipped. So let's say you want the triangles to be upside down. You could flip it up. And when you take a look at it here, you see now the triangle's upside down. You could also flip it to the left, and of course right now you won't be able to tell a difference because it's just a triangle, but let's say you had like I don't know, like maybe you charted out like an animal or something like that, and you want the animal to be facing the opposite direction. When you click the mirror button to the left or to the right, it's going to flip the image so that you'll be able to flip the image without having to do it manually. To create a single crochet template, come over here to where it says File and click New. Once again, click OK, and then click on the triangle grid. You need the triangle grid because when you have the square grid, all of the points are lined up right on top of each other vertically. And that is a better representation of a modified single crochet stitch. When you have the triangle grid, the stitches are not lined up right on top of each other. There's a slant, and that's a better representation of a single crochet, a regular single crochet stitch. So once again, you just do the same process that I taught you using a square grid, but this time you're going to be using a triangle grid. Just remember to start with a large triangle so that you have plenty of space to work with, and but other than that, the process is pretty much the same. When you're done with your pattern, I recommend saving in two different ways. The first one is by coming up here and clicking File and Save As. And then you could just change the file name and click Save. When you save it in this way, it saves it as a .pattern file. What that means is that these type of files can only be opened using the crochet charts pattern. So, for example, if you wanted to open it just to work on it again, you could open it using the crochet charts program. But if you wanted to open it just to look at it, or if you wanted to share it on something like Facebook, for example, or on your own website, you're going to have to save it in a different format. To do that, you need to click on the export button right here. It's the picture of the paper with an arrow. And when that opens up, you only have to change the file type here. I know that you can't see the chart, but that's, I don't know, it's here somewhere, you just can't see it. But anyway, you click on the file type and you choose whichever type you want. I recommend JPEG. It's just a typical file for saving pictures in. And then you go ahead and click Save, and now it'll be saved as a picture format. That means when you open it, you won't be able to edit it. You won't be able to change anything about it using the Crochet Charts program, but you will be able to share it on Facebook or send it in an email or anything like that. So it's really good to be able to save it in those two different file types so that you could access in whichever way is necessary for you at the time. That's pretty much it for this tutorial, guys. I know that it seems like a lot, but really it's not complicated. It's just a lot of information. But once you start with it and just start practicing, playing around with it a little bit, you'll start to pick up everything really quickly. I'm not very creative, so I can't really just like look at all these, empty stitches and think of some beautiful shape to make. But what I like to do is I like to open a picture on Pinterest, and then from there I could try to maybe replicate it using either this type of chart or a regular single crochet chart. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions about this, I'm sure you guys have a lot because it's kind of confusing, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and you could also leave any suggestions for tutorials that you guys would like to see. I already have a lot of free tutorials for Tapestry Crochet. on the website alltapestrycrochet.com, and you could also follow me on Facebook, where you could share your works in progress. You could be updated on all the videos that are coming out. You could see my daily inspirations that I post on there. You could also message me privately, etc. But anyway, guys, that's all, and I really wish you luck with your first tapestry crochet pattern. I know it's going to be great, and as always, I wish you guys happy crocheting.